Um, you need to silence that up front for me if you don't mind. Overall, just kind of looking at the game, kind of the positives that really stood out. I think we talk about balance a lot. I think we achieved pretty good balance when you look at a little over 300 yards rushing, 250 something or 240 something passing. Obviously, it wasn't balancing the attempts and carries. You look at the first half. I think at halftime we were close to 190 yards rushing, around 80 or so passing. And in the second half, you kind of got the feel towards the end of the first half they were starting to load the box, and we kind of challenged our guys at halftime that we were going to have to make some plays in the passing game. I think we were able to do that, throwing for around 170 or so yards in the second half, and it still allowed us to finish off running the football later. But we were able to throw it when we needed to, run it when we needed to. So from that standpoint, I was really pleased. The other thing is, we just challenged the guys to, and before every game, one of the things we say is just play the game. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Don't let the scoreboard dictate how we play in terms of not only effort but just mentally, because the scoreboard takes care of itself at the end of the game. And we had 11 possessions, and I think the first 8 possessions we got the football every time behind, and that's part of playing on the road in the SEC. And our guys, I didn't think ever pressed, felt any different. And then the last 3 possessions we got the ball and we were ahead, and they didn't change how they were playing. And so credit to our guys. They're playing really good team offense, like we said. I think we had 8 different guys catch a ball. Every guy that caught a ball had either double-digit yards in receiving or caught a ball for a first down. 5 different guys carry it. It just doesn't matter who steps up and make a play. Guys are making plays. And I think as a whole, as our team, you look at the defense, in the first half we had to score here and there just to kind of, get their back. Well, we start the second half and we punt 2 times in a row. And our defense has a huge 4th down stop, another huge stop. So we just played good team ball, and that was the positives. The things that stand out that we really can't do, we had 2 penalties that hurt us that were in the second half. We were trying to get some tempo going. We still had the ball on the ground twice, one on a miscommunication with the quarterback, not snapping the ball correctly with some motion. Another one late in the game when we fumbled the football. And then we had 2 drops on plays we could have made plays, and then we had 2 deep balls that we could have hit. So the good thing is there's a whole lot of room for improvement in the execution column, but I thought our guys played extremely hard, and I thought more than anything they made plays. You can name a bunch of them. Darius's play on the goal line throw coming out being one of them.
Rhett, you guys talk about handling adversity.
Yeah.
How important is it to see that, like you said, on the road and have to go through one of those?
Well, it's huge, and I was telling the guys all week, saying, "Hey, guys, they're 3-4. It's the best 3-4 team you'll ever see. I mean, look who they played, look at who they were ahead, and their schedule had been brutal. They're really good at home. They're excellent on offense. We knew that, and to get the ball the first 8 possessions and be behind, that happens in this league. Every game's tight usually. The last 2 have been an exception, and for our guys to just play like they have been and not be a big deal, I thought was a big thing."
Rhett, y'all said a lot of nice things about Cameron running the ball.
Yeah.
But could you have even imagined that he was going to have the impact he's had?
Probably not. I think Tim told me after, or maybe it was midway through the spring or after the spring, he said, we call him Bubba. Maybe we're supposed to call him Bruiser now. I'm not sure. But, he said he's going to be just fine. He said he's going to be really good. Okay, well, Tim knows what he's talking about, but he really hadn't done a lot. And I don't think Tim or any of us knew that he'd get on this tear, but he just done a good job of going downhill. He'd be the first to tell you it's because his guys up front are blocking well for him. And so, like I said last week, him and Carrion have kind of done a good job brother-in-law on it right now. He's got the hot hand, but I thought both guys ran really hard last night, and we're obviously really fortunate that he's running the ball like he is.
Right, kind of a continuation of that. I understand as a coach, you've always got to kind of focus on the positives, but can you have ever imagined that perhaps losing your 3 top rushers last year, you'd now be number 3 in the nation in rushing yards?
Probably not. There's a big stressor when you have 5 guys coming back, and they're all underclassmen, and 3 of them leave. One leaves early for the draft. The other 2 decide to go to different places. And, we felt really good about Carrion, but he'd just been a true freshman. And so that's why in the spring we used Cameron, who the positives are we signed him. He was a high school running back. So we kind of signed him saying, okay, he's either going to be a really good running back or we know he can play fullback. And we just didn't know how it would start at fullback and then go back to running back. And then Chandler Cox the same way. Then you got guys like Cameron Martin and Stanton Truitt have stepped up. So it's been a team effort. But, yeah, there was times in the spring and even fall camp that, that was a big stressor. And then even a couple weeks ago we lose KJ. And just from an injury standpoint, you worry about depth because when you recruit, you don't expect guys to leave that early that often. And so, but, hey, credit to those guys. the backs, and then really for the fact that we're running the ball well, that's a whole team thing.
Speaking of running the ball, Sean, I think 5 of the last 7 games has had at least one double-digit run. He had that 16-yarder on 3rd and 13 last night. How important has it been for him to get that going to help with the offense when it seems like they're biting on something and he's able to make something?
It's been huge. I mean, the biggest play of the night, well, one of the probably the biggest plays of the night was that 3rd and 13 scramble. That was our 3rd drive. The first drive, we missed the post for a touchdown. The second drive, we got it out, but then we punted. Our defense had 2 pretty good stops against a really good offense. We needed to do something. And for him to convert that with that big 16-yard run kind of sparked everything. I think we scored 2 plays later. And then he had another 3rd down conversion in the first half, and then he pulled one on a really bad look on his own read. He made a great play, got about 12 yards. I mean, he's proven that he's athletic, like we said, enough to keep people honest. But I think he took a step further last night on 3rd downs, being able to pull it down because they were dropping 8 guys into coverage. We were pretty good on 3rd down the first half. They made a good adjustment in the second half, and he stepped up and made some plays when there wasn't much there. And I think that's what the teammates love about him. And this week, he did a good job of knowing where the sticks were. So it'll be big because we're going to need more conversions like that down the stretch.
How do you handle this week with Tony Stevens and Eli Stove with them being banged up?
I expect Eli to be fine. He finished the game, and he was a little hobbled, but I mean when he had the ball, he looked full speed most of the time to me. So I would think he'd be fine. Tony, it's kind of like carry on a week ago. He wasn't great in warm-ups, and so he was dressed and there. But I think with him not playing, Jason had a catch. Jason and Marcus had 2 catches. Everybody else that played at receiver was a redshirt freshman or a freshman. So we were pretty young there, and they did a good job. But hopefully Tony will be better this week and be ready to go. We'll just have to wait till we get out there Tuesday and probably know better then.
Rhett, you mentioned it off the tops, but the fumble with Stanton, from where I'm sitting, I thought that was supposed to be a direct snap.
No, I'll go ahead and let everybody we play know we don't direct snap to guys going in motion. So I know we did it once earlier this year, so everybody thinks we do, but that's not by design. So we just on the road silent count. There's just every now and then we work at it hard. Can't happen, but we had a miscommunication on the snap timing. It was really more on Sean. It wasn't on the center, and the ball was snapped late, and we almost had a disaster.
Can you talk about Mike Horton coming in, doing some on-down stuff, what that's done for you?
Yeah, it's been good. Mike's done a really good job getting that extra guy in there at times, and much like Robert Leff and Braden Smith and others have done in the past, and I think that's only going to help him hopefully mature and develop as a player much quicker because he's 1 play away on the normal unit right now, and we're going to need him obviously in the near future too. So he did some really good things last night. That defense, I know they're giving up a lot of numbers, but they're not a bad – they got talent. They got some big guys up front. They're very athletic. They got one of the best pass rushers in our league. And so I thought our guys up front were good and physical, and he was a big part of that.
What do you see from Sean in the passing game, right? 'Cause we talked about his running, but he's season high in passing yards, probably a play away from a career high in passing yards. Just what do you see from him in the passing game?
Well, he's very efficient, as we know, and he's been extremely efficient 20 yards and in. And, pretty much deadly accurate. And not only efficient with the throws, but the decision-making. I mean, his worst decision last night was the way we snapped the ball on that bad play. So he's making good decisions with the football, whether to tuck it and run, who to throw it to, and he's very decisive and confident. The one thing that we have to improve on is hitting those vertical shots. I mean, I think that's very obvious at this point. He's extremely efficient, but if we want to take that next step, we're going to have to hit some of those big throws.
Who do you look at as your leading 3 receivers at this point? Because it's not like running back where you can look at it and say you have 2 guys.
Right.
2 guys behind that. But especially with a quarterback who's still trying to settle in a little bit to adjust, particularly on timing routes and other things.
Right.
There's more components to it. On one hand, you have balance. On the other hand, it's just a lot of bodies who haven't done a lot consistently every single week in a lot of youth.
Right. I think I understand the question, and I get it. It makes a lot of sense that I don't know if we have a go-to guy, I mean, I guess stat-wise it'd be Tony, but he didn't even play last night, and we threw for almost 250 yards. So, again, it goes back to we're not a lot of superstars this year, and that's okay, It's a good team offensive mix, and that's why 8 different guys caught a ball last night, and they were all productive catches. I mean, you look at Marcus Davis, one catch, but it was 33 yards. Jason Smith, one catch, 33 yards. You know, Jalen Harris, one catch, touchdown. And I could go on and on and on. And it's just kind of, hey, what plays do we need to call and how's it going to work out? And, you know, sometimes that's actually easier as a coach because you don't worry about, well, I got to get this guy the ball or I got to get that guy the ball. You know, let's put the guys in the position we think what they do best. At this point, they've all repped with Sean quite a bit. And I think that's why we're getting better each week with the efficiency is that he's more confident with where they're going to be and what they're going to do and giving them opportunities. And so sometimes that's a good thing. I mean, obviously anybody would love to have that one guy that, you know, everybody knows. But right now there's nobody for the defense to key on. And it allows the quarterback and really everybody to just, you know, run the reads, run the progressions. And wherever the ball and the read takes it, that guy's got to make the play.
Eli led the catches yesterday. He had the big run last week against Arkansas. What does he bring differently as a receiver for Sean?
Well, I mean, he can run. He's really fast. He's very shifty. He's got good hands. He's long. Like we said last week, I just think he's peaking this season as a freshman at the right time. And I thought he showed good toughness last night. Got a little dinged up. Didn't phase him. He stayed in, and he made some big plays for us. And you know, he's doing a lot of good things, and you know, he'll continue to help us down the stretch big time.
I know Darius was pretty happy to be able to contribute in a big game, and just what you see from him.
Talking about Slayton? Yeah, Darius has been one of our more steady guys. And, you know, I know he'd probably like to have that one third down play back, but then you look at the catch he made coming out of the end zone, that's as good as you can do. I mean, it's hard to throw and catch a ball better than that in pretty good coverage. And, you know, he's just one of those guys. He's very dependable. Did a good job catching that ball over the middle too. And so, you know, he's been very steady for us. And, again, it goes back to one game. I don't think he had any catches last week. This week he had 3 or 4, and they were all impact catches. So, yeah, he's doing good.
You know, Vanderbilt, everybody wants to say what they want about them, but what have you noticed about their defense? And obviously they have a great linebacker.
Yeah. They're really good. They won at Georgia. That gets your attention right there. And Zach Cunningham, I'm familiar with, I actually was recruiting him when I was at Arkansas State out of Birmingham, and so knew the kid well. Then we came here. It was his senior year was the year we got the job here. And I think even Ellis and that staff really recruited him. And there was, you know, I don't know how it all ended up, but he obviously went to Vanderbilt. But we knew he was a really good player. He was long, very athletic. He was a great young man, very smart kid, very high character kid. And, you know, just watching like the play he made to beat Georgia is just a phenomenal play. I think he leads our league in tackles. So I know for a fact that he's a stud. And then what they've done on defense this year has been really good. I mean, there's not a lot of people scoring a lot of points on them. So, you know, it'll be a pretty good challenge for us. I hadn't watched a ton of them yet just because where we are in the process, kind of get started with that actually right after this. But they're going to be pretty good on defense. That's what they do.
Back to Sean White. What is it about his mentality that lets him make those plays even though he may not be the biggest or strongest or fastest type of guy?
Well, he's an extremely tough competitor. And I've said it, I think, before in here, so it's probably going to get old and redundant, but he plays with a chip on his shoulder. That's just how he is. I mean, everybody's always said he's undersized. He doesn't have a strong enough arm. He's not athletic enough. You name it. And it goes back to being, you know, the last one selected to go out to the Elite 11, and then he goes and wins it. Being an alternate in the Under Armour game, and then he wins the MVP, you know. And so, you know, coming in here and no one really ever talking much about him in quarterback competitions, and then he wins the job. So I think he's just one of those guys. He loves to play the game. You know, a lot of times certain guys, just when the lights come on, they're playing, they play at their best. And he gives us everything he has. I mean, the third down run was incredible. I mean, to stick his foot in the ground, get north-south, get smoked and all that. But he took a lot of shots last night. He took more shots than he needs to, none bigger than the one on the wheel route to Stanton Truitt. I mean, that's as good a play as you're going to see anybody make, and hang in there with that toughness and pop right back up. I mean, he loves to play the game. He's tough. He competes, and I think his teammates love that about him. Yeah.
Your career, things that are going on, just potentially in a couple of months or things like that, but particularly with a younger team, with younger players who haven't been through it, with less guys for year 13, how do you keep them from thinking of rising up in the poll?
Right.
When things can kind of be ahead here for a couple of weeks?
Well, with younger guys, sometimes it's easier because right now they don't really know any better. You know, so what do we tell them? And the older guys tell them, they just, okay, yep, that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's sometimes good. There's an innocence there that makes it easier. But just with our group as a whole, yeah, a lot of the guys were here last year and we struggled, so they know what that feels like. But then you'd look at the first 3 games this year, and the disappointment, how it felt to lose those 2 games where we felt like offensively we could have done more to help us win, and just as a team, they know what that feels like. And it was just 5 weeks ago they know that feeling. So I think that's the best motivator is knowing, hey, we started playing better. We got good momentum. We got confidence. But you look at the game film last night, we probably executed worse last night than we did against Arkansas or Mississippi State. And Ole Miss deserves a lot of credit for that. But there's still a lot of things we can clean up and do better. And I think they see that and go, okay, we don't want to go back to the way it was the first 3 weeks. And so there's incentive to just, hey, we've taken it one game at a time. We've tried to get better, and we've tried to just worry about going out and control what we can control, and it's worked, so why change it?
And then a couple more. But how good was it to have carry on back and just have your full arsenal in the backfield?
It was really good. And, he may not get the credit because you look at the stat line last night and everybody's talking about Bubba, and he did great. But he had the 2 touchdown runs inside the red zone, which gives us that flexibility, a guy who can catch a snap, the big wheel route on 3rd down. And you even look at, he had some of the better 4 and 5, 6-yard runs last night of anybody, running over guys. He was the same guy he's always been. He's a great 3rd down back for us. He's really good in pass protection. So it was good to have him back, and not only to have him back and play well, but, get out of the game no worse for it and should be in good shape moving forward. So having both those guys, again, obviously Cameron's the hot hand right now, but there's going to be plenty of times these last few games where KJ is going to do what we know he can do.
Brett, on the play that Jalen, touchdown to Jalen, I think the more surprising thing was that Gus and Sean both said we've been repping that for about 9, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through what goes into that? Or is it a look that you get from Ole Miss, or is it just a feeling that you have? Because it would seem like if you're making a play for 2 months, maybe the guys will go, look, we're never going to run that.
They do. They say it sometime. I think I actually told them on Friday as we were going over the plan, we were discussing that play. I said, I know we've been working it for a while. I don't know when we're going to call it, but when we do, it'll work because we've built up that many reps. And it's easy for kids sometimes to be like, all right, we're going to rep it again. We're not going to call it, kind of like the old play last year against A&M, the old hide the midget play, right? So, well, I mean, it was what it is. And all of a sudden you call it and it's 27 yards later. You're like, okay, cool. So sometimes plays like that, there's every game just about, I think we've gone in going, okay, whether it's a certain situation, whether it's a certain spot on the field, whatnot, and it's just how the game flows. Do you get that situation? Do you not? When you do get it, sometimes it's a feel thing. And I think Sean had just made the scramble, and then we ran the little pass to Marcus, and we tempoed to play right after that. And I remember just thinking, I think I told Herb, I said, hey, we stay on this side right here after this play, we're going to run it. And we talked about it 2 games ago. Herb brought it up in the middle of a drive, and something happened to where we didn't call it the next play. I can't remember what it was. So, but guys buy in, and when it works, then they think we at least know what we're talking about. We're like, hey, you did say it would work when we finally ran it. So that'll help us for the next play that's like that. Absolutely.
Extending off last one, just as a coordinator, I know you got a lot of
It's
pressure.
bad body language.
You got a lot of pressure, obviously, but does it get fun at some point and during a season where you're able to build off of tendencies and things you've built off of because you're able to do different things in games?
Yeah, I think so because I've said this before, every good offense has tendencies. If not, you're not good at anything. But then you have to use that to your advantage as you go week to week. And so, again, I think our guys have a pretty good identity now. We've been able to be simpler, play faster, playing with a lot of confidence. And so each week to week, we'll just try to build and tweak off of what we're doing well. And but, yeah, that's the fun part. The fun part really, to be honest with you, is it's fun, obviously much more fun to win than not. But just watching the guys, we've got great team chemistry. We said that before the season. And I know the way we started out rocky, people are probably like, yeah, whatever. Well, I think you're seeing what we saw now kind of come out. And you're seeing we just got a good team of guys that it doesn't matter who steps up. Doesn't matter if it's offense, defense, special teams, this kid, that kid, and they just believe. And sometimes believing's more important than what you really are, and our guys just have a lot of confidence right now. So can he get one? Can we let him have one?
Well, it was actually going to be a 2-part question.
No, you get one part.
Oh, you see how I can
He's mad at me, and I'm letting you ask the question.
Basically, I was just going to ask, how impressed you've been with Austin and his move back to center, especially considering he'd made the full-time move to left tackle, and now he made a mid-season switch back.
Is that 1 or 2? He's done a good job, and I think you can tell he's more confident this year, having done it last year. Obviously none of us saw the switch happening so quick, but he has been much better. He's been a steady force for us, and Darius has done some good things at left tackle. And again, we feel good about Xavier. It's just kind of the way things are going right now. I think we've done it before. I think it was even in 2013. Avery Young didn't start out the season at right tackle. In game 4, just the way it worked out, he ended up being the guy that got in there, and then we got on a roll, and we didn't want to mess up the chemistry and the continuity. But Austin's been a big part of that, making calls and just been being steady.
Ryan, you better bring donuts Tuesday.